Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to my tour of my movie slash cinema room. I've been meaning to do a video like this for some time. Those of you that follow me on social media will know that I'm a big movie and music fan. So I've decided to do two vlogs. This one's a movie vlog looking at my memorabilia and DVD and Blu-ray collection. The next video will focus on the music side, and at the end of that I'll do a sort of summary of 2020, talk a bit about Vegas and plans for 21, etc, etc. But for now, let's focus on the movies. Throughout all of this, you've got to bear in mind, I'm 52 years old. I grew up very much in the era of physical media. I absolutely love physical media. For me, you can't beat, holding that movie in your hand with all the artwork or that vinyl record, sticking it in the player and sitting down and enjoying the film. I'm not keen on downloading or streaming. I'd never watch a movie on a phone or on an aeroplane. To me, you have to have the surround sound experience at home in a nice comfy chair and ideally with a beer. So join me as I show you all the stuff that I've bought over the last, 25 years. So here we are at the movie side of, I've got two rooms basically on the third floor of this house. Suzanne and I bought this together in 2013. And I had an outhouse in my old property where I lived on my own, which had all this stuff in it. So it was very much key to get somewhere that could actually house all this stuff. So we were looking at a number of properties, some of which had outhouses, and we found this property that was on 3 floors. So Suzanne has banished all this stuff to the 3rd floor. You can't really blame her. She doesn't want it taken over the house. So basically everything movie related is in here. That side is music, which we will come on to in the next vlog. So we'll start from this corner and work our way around. Now this is a signed photo from the first remake of Planet of the Apes. I actually really like this movie, and a lot of people don't. They only like the recent trilogy, but I really like this one with Mark Wahlberg in it. And you've got Mark Wahlberg's signature at the bottom there. And the good thing with this particular signed photo, which I bought at the NEC in Birmingham when they had a movie memorabilia exhibition some years back, is it's got Charlton Heston's signature right there, who's obviously the star of the original Planet of the Apes. So it's pretty collectible, that. And I still like that movie to this day, I really do. And I know some fans are not so keen. Apologies for the glare here. You've got my Budweiser neon sign spoiling it, but I'm not going to turn it off. So next up we have... Now, I'm a big fan of Anthony Hopkins. Massive, massive fan of Anthony Hopkins, particularly, obviously, in the Hannibal role. This is a signed poster from Red Dragon, the 3rd in the trilogy. It's a prequel to Silence of the Lambs. So there is Anthony Hopkins' signature and Edward Norton's signature there. I'd love him to do one more film as Hannibal, but I don't think he will. I very, very, very much doubt he will. But one of the best horror villains, well, thriller horror villains ever, probably. And at the bottom here, and actually I bought this in Vegas at, those of you that have been into Caesar's Palace and the Forum shops will know a shop called Antiquities, which has signed movie memorabilia. And I bought that there. It's relocated a few times in the Forum shops, but this is signed photos of Ryan Reynolds and Melissa George from the Amityville Horror remake. I'm a big fan of the Amityville Horror franchise. I think it's pretty cool that they've made it look like the house at the top there, actually, which is one of the reasons I bought it in the first place. And actually, just down here, all of my Blu-rays and DVDs are in alphabetical order, and that is the Amityville section. In fact, the whole lot. That's all the Blu-rays on the right there, and the DVDs on the left. And actually, I would recommend, there's a documentary about the Amityville Horror. That one at the bottom there is My Amityville Horror, it's called. And that I would really recommend to watch it. I find the whole thing about so-called true stories and what have you quite interesting, and I always watch films based on true stories, even if they tend to be a bit exaggerated, and I think that's why I got interested in the Amityville Horror originally. I'd love to actually visit the proper house. That would be so cool. Okay, and here we got some 3 smaller signed photos. Keanu Reeves in The Matrix there. We got the fabulous Nicolas Cage. I just love Nicolas Cage in Con Air, all signed there. Put the Bernie in the box. And then at the bottom here, one of the original Godzilla movies, signed by the star. I can't remember which one that is, if I'm honest. I bought that from the cinema store in London, sadly closed now, but that was a great little shop, just off Covent Garden. Okay, so we're now going to look at this first bank of stuff. Now, I'm a massive Friday the 13th fan. Now, this was actually bought from the Toy Shack in downtown Vegas. It's Sideshow Collectibles, Jason from Part 3. And this was, I think, if on the bottom of that, if I recall, it was an artist proof of the deluxe model that they sold. This goes for crazy money on eBay, like £1,000 or something. It's ridiculous. All sold out. That is a Part 5, Friday the 13th Part 5, which obviously is the one where it wasn't Jason the killer. So that's not a licensed or fully released piece. That's a bespoke thing that I bought off somebody off eBay, but it's pretty cool. And then that is from Part 7. And at the back here, I've got all the Friday the 13th on old style American VHS. And that was actually the first movies I ever bought on, before I bought any of this stuff. That was the initial series that I bought on home media. These aren't the original ones I bought. I've actually bought them all on eBay since. They're all sealed copies. And I just wanted to have the sealed copies. I went to New York with Colin in 1996. I could do a vlog on that New York trip with Colin. Actually, it was a scream. We basically went to New York and played pool all week, and did very little sightseeing and just drank beer. But anyway, I bought those Friday the 13th there, and then following that, I then started collecting movies. Pretty much, actually it wasn't 96. It was probably about 93. Yeah, it's probably early 90s actually. Before DVDs really, it was all VHS still then. At the back here, you can't really see them very well, but they're all the Friday the 13th vinyl soundtracks. Then we have the Phantasm box set there from Arrow Video, and then the DVD versions below it, which were Anchor Bay from memory. That was the original Friday the 13th tin Blu-ray collection, which you will see as we go around has now been superseded by a better version. And then we move on to the Hellraiser bit. So again, this was at the NEC again here, signed by all the Cenobites, along with Doug Bradley in the centre there. I was a big fan of Hellraiser. I've actually got a signed configuration box there as well. And that's the recent Anchor Bay box set of the Scarlet Box, which is actually sold out again, of 1 to 3. And actually, this is a funny little bit here. That gentleman's name is Tom Six. He's the director of The Human Centipede. And that is the centipede that was used in Part 2. You can see it on the mother's face. And I asked him if he could send a signed photo with it, and then, bless him, he sent me a photo of him holding the latex centipede and signed it. So he's a really nice guy. Really, really nice guy. But I can't say I recommend the Human Centipede films as family viewing, but I enjoy them anyway. Okay, around this side, this is more my area for TV, sort of TV series, etc. That is a promotional item from The Boy movie. That's a great little movie, The Boy. Very, very good twist at the end of that. $6 Million Man. Anyone remember that? Lee Majors. I bought one of these again because I remember having the doll as a kid. I am such a child at heart, as you can clearly see with all this stuff. So we go at the back here. This goes on to the TV series Tales of the Unexpected, which was a great British... well, it was a bit like The Twilight Zone. This is the 60th anniversary of The Twilight Zone on Blu-ray. Love The Twilight Zone. Massive, massive fan of it. Really enjoying the rebooted version as well in 2020. But in the 70s, we had our own sort of version of that called Tales of the Unexpected, which had a lot of old school British actors in, like Peter Cushing and Joan Collins and people like that. Really, really good anthology series, that one. And then Tales of the Dark Side, which is another American series. The Gentle Touch. Jill Gascoigne sadly died recently. Very sad. Used to love her. And then that's me as Terminator 2. I think I got that from when I went to Florida, actually. I think they take your picture and put it on a poster or something. And then at the front here... Now, there's very few series, modern day series, that I watch start to finish, but Lost is one of them. I absolutely adored that series. Lost is superb. I remember watching the final episode and crying like a baby. I really did. And I know the final episode has been sort of slagged off by a lot of fans, but I really, really liked the way they finished the series up. And this is me actually in Vegas in about 2003. We were staying at the Stardust at that particular time. And they were shooting in the bar there a scene for the movie Domino, which was a Keira Knightley film starring her and this gentleman. Do you know who it is? Mickey Rourke, of course. And I saw him playing slots. And I went over, because he was there with his little dog. He had a little dog on his lap. And I went over and I asked him for a photo. And he couldn't have been nicer. And I did wonder whether he'd tell me where to go. But so that's me and Mickey Rourke in Stardust. Not many people can say they've had a photo with Mickey Rourke in the Stardust, can they? And then we have the Las Vegas series. Love that show. And then these are the limited edition Doctor Who box sets that are coming out. And that's actually me with Tom Baker. This would have been, again, mid-90s probably. Now, Tom Baker is my doctor. Him and John Pertwee are my doctors, basically. My favourite Doctor Who episodes are Genesis of the Daleks and The Green Death is the one with the maggots. Those are my two favourite episodes. And I will watch I'm collecting all of the John Pertwee and Tom Baker limited box sets they're producing at the moment. I did like the remake or the reboot with David Tennant when it first started and Christopher Eccleston. But I must admit, since it's gone on, I just think it's got worse and worse, and I've stopped watching it now. So in terms of movies down here, we've got some American Pie there. They're great films, love them. As I said, Amityville at the bottom there. Bit of Batman. Boogie Nights, that's a decent movie. Love Boogie Nights. Cabin Fever there. Captivity. That was a Hostel knockoff, actually, Captivity. But actually, there's various versions of this movie and various bits of packaging. Look at this for cool packaging. The lady in it is putting a whole load of sand, look, and they've made the packaging look like the scene in the film. But there's... one of the things I'm very interested in with physical media is the different cuts of movies. And Captivity started off as a thriller and then was recut and extra gore added to make it more of a sort of Saw/Hostel rip-off. But I've got all versions of the movie, and it's very interesting to see how they've changed it. And I went through a stage of hunting all the various cuts down of that particular film. At the bottom there, we got the Children of the Corn series. Love that. Love Isaac. What do we got here? Annabelle. So that's all the Conjuring movies there. So they're both good as well. The Collector and the Collection. Very good. Death Race. The Cube trilogy. Very good. Some Doctor Who there. A bit of Die Hard. So you see, Evil Dead, look, Exorcist. And at the bottom here, we've got all of the Final Destination movies. The Fog. Ginger Snaps. Decent trilogy, that one. Godfather at the bottom there. And then, actually, this is all the... That's all the Godzilla films. So that's the first sort of section done. Moving on to... Actually, there's a few posters up here I could show you. Creep Show, that's signed by George A. Romero at the top there. We sadly lost him not so long ago. This was bought... Yeah, we went to Florida. Myself, Suzanne and Francesca. When would it have been? Probably 2016, something like that. And they were selling these at a convention there. And then Creep Show 2, that's Tom Savini, who is... he starred in this, I think. But he's the special effects guru from the Friday the 13th movies and many, many other 80s horror films. And then we've got a couple of bits here from Rob Zombie. Not signed these, but I really like Lords of Salem. It's a great sort of movie about sort of devil worship and stuff. And I love Sherry Moon Zombie. I just think she's great. Very good looking as well, which always helps. But she's always in his movies. And I do like him as a director. And these are the posters for his version of Halloween and Halloween 2, which divide opinion amongst fans. I mean, there's no doubt about it. You need a good wash once you've watched these films, but they are good fun, really good fun. He's a gritty filmmaker. Everything's very gritty, grimy, incredibly violent, incredibly gory. But no, I enjoy them. So coming over to the second part here, Suzanne bought me this Budweiser Neon. I've been a fan of Neon before I was a fan of Vegas, by the way. I think it dates back to my love of Soft Cell, fundamentally, the music group Soft Cell, which I'll talk about in my music section. They were very much into the neon side, and I've bought a couple of Soft Cell neons lately. And then obviously Soho in London has a lot of neon. And then, of course, when I started going to Vegas, it was like an extension of that. So I always love just sitting here with the neons on. Big fan. And I'm a big fan of Budweiser, as you know. So here we've got the Saw series. I've recently watched all the Saws back-to-back, rewatched them all back-to-back. I absolutely adore the Saw series. I just think the storyline is so clever. You can say it's a bit convoluted at times, but it's not just a horror film. There's lots more going on to it. And I thoroughly enjoyed it. Saw 1 for me is the best one. Saw 3 probably second best. Saw 6 was fabulous as well. I liked them all. I really did. And I enjoyed revisiting the series. Wrong Turn, which is actually the box set that came with that bust is there. And then the fabulous Sid Haig, Captain Spaulding from House of a Thousand Corpses, The Devil's Rejects. Again, sadly we lost him recently. And then this Scream mask was actually signed at the premiere of Scream 4. Now, there's a new Scream coming, actually. Is it next year or 2022? Scream 5, but I think they're just going to call it Scream. But that's got Emma Roberts' signature there. And the signature in the mouth is the guy that did the Ghostface voice. Wes Craven is my favourite horror director. The first horror movie I ever saw on VHS way back in the early 80s was Last House on the Left, starring David Hess. And I've loved Wes Craven ever since. That was his sort of 70s output. He also did The Hills Have Eyes in the 70s. Obviously in the 80s he did Nightmare on Elm Street. In the 90s or mid-90s he reinvented the horror genre, which at that point was really struggling with Scream. So he's in effect in the 70s with Last House on the Left, 80s with Nightmare on Elm Street, and 90s with Scream. You know, he's reinvented the horror genre in 3 separate decades. I mean, an absolutely legendary director. I've watched everything. I've got everything he's directed. Superb stuff. That's a bust for Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And is it Next Generation? I forget the title of that particular one, but it wasn't one of the best. And then this is one of my favourite pieces here. I bought this. It was basically a production-used mask from Jeepers Creepers 2. Now, I'll put on the screen now what it used to look like. And I sent it to a company in New York called Tom Spina Designs, they specialise basically in renovating old sort of props and masks and outfits and various things from movies. And he did a fabulous job to make it look like that from what you've just seen. And then I got a signed photo. Jonathan Breck, who plays the Creeper, he was, again, at the NEC in Birmingham, where I used to go to a lot of these sort of expo type things. He was there. So he's written at the top there, "Take care of my face. I'll be back for it." But that's probably probably joint first favourite thing that I've got movie-wise. And I do love the Jeepers Creepers movies. And they did a part 3 recently, which I actually was way better than it dared to have been after such a break. So I enjoy all 3 of them. And in terms of movies on this side, we've got all of my Halloween. I mean, this is how many times I bought Halloween. You've got them all at the back there. You've got them all at the front there. And then there's another box set the further on we go. Down here, we've got all the Hellraisers. And then at the bottom here, amongst other things, we have Homeland. And I mentioned about seeing series all the way through. I don't do that many. I do Homeland. I love Homeland. Claire Danes is fabulous. And at the bottom there, we've got I Know What You Did Last Summer. There's a new box set actually of that, which I've just bought from 88 Films. Then here we've got the Insidious movies. That's a good series as well. Joyride. It's called Roadkill in Roadkill in the UK. Joyride in the US. Paul Walker's in the first one. So if you just watch the first one with Paul Walker in it, it's a bloody good film. Jurassic Park tin there as well. Kill List. That's a decent English horror movie. And then down here we've got Last Exorcism, Leprechaun box set with Warwick Davis. And at the bottom, Hobbit and Lord of the Rings. And up here, some Mission Impossibles. I really loved the last Mission Impossible, Fallout. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Probably the best one of them all. All of my George A. Romero movies in various formats. That big one in the middle there is the recent Dawn of the Dead big release from Arrow, which I think sold out. Nightbreed, which is another Clive Barker movie. Now, one of my favourite franchises ever is the Omen. Absolutely love. I mean, that actually, going back to the VHS days where you went down and rented out movies. I remember watching, particularly Damien Omen 2, funnily enough. But I watched all 3 of the original trilogy. There was a TV movie, Omen 4, which was absolutely dreadful. But the actual trilogy, I think, is pretty much faultless. I haven't got those on Blu-ray yet. I know there is a Blu-ray set from Shout Factory in the US, which I must pick up at some point. We've got some James Bond steelbooks and what have you there, but my James Bond box set is actually below my photo there from the Stardust. I've bought them so many times, the Bond movies. Absolutely love them. Can't wait for the new one next year. And at the bottom here, we've got Pearl Harbor, which I really like. Paranormal Activity movies. Very, very much a fan of those. And actually, that's a series I may well watch again in its entirety. I think all of those are good. And I actually really enjoyed the 3D, the Ghost Dimension 3D final installment as well, which I still have a 3D TV, which I'll come on to when we get that far round. And then here, that's the original DVD bust set of Planet of the Apes. They're all the Blu-rays of obviously the original series there, the Mark Wahlberg remake, which I mentioned at the outset of this video, and then the 3 on Steelbook, including 3D, I think, for the second one. Some Puppet Master movies there, which I'll come on to again in a minute. I've got lots more to show you on that. And what do we got here? We got yeah, Resident Evil, decent. There's a good Vegas one actually of Resident Evil where Vegas has been trashed. That's worth a watch. I think that was that the third one? I think it might have been. At the bottom there we've got yeah, Rocky, Running Man, etc. So moving on, you can see our garden at the top here. As I'm way up on the third floor, we got Patrick Bateman there from, well, I tell you, American Psycho. Forget about the film. What a book! I don't know if you've never read the book. I'd read the book. I mean, it's just, well, I couldn't believe at the time how anybody could come up with such grotesque writing. To be honest, it's so violent. But yeah, it's something you need to experience maybe once. I read that on holiday a few years back. Predator, bust there, iRobot, bit of Arnie, Michael Myers, and a Terminator thing again there. So we're coming around to the penultimate section now. I'm a big Schwarzenegger fan, massive Schwarzenegger fan. And actually, I do like his later movies, you know, and I just hope he carries on indefinitely. And this is one of my favourites, End of Days, which was a 1999. It was set at New Year's Eve in 1999. And funnily enough, this poster was bought in Mandalay Bay. And they used to have one of the sort of, a bit like Antiquities in Caesars, as I mentioned earlier, but in Mandalay Bay. And it had a rip. I don't think you can even see the rip. There was a rip in that top left-hand corner. So they sold it to me for like $100. And obviously it's got Arnie's signature on there. So I bought it home in a rolled tube and then got it framed like that. And I really love that poster. I really do. And I remember when I watched that film, I thought, my God, Arnie, don't you look old? Nothing compared to today, eh? But that's that. You know, if you've never seen that, just look it out, because I thought it was an excellent movie. And then we come down to my sort of full moon Charles Band collection. Here we got various puppets, etc. That is the screen used Pinhead from Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys, which actually isn't an official sequel. It's not an official Full Moon sequel, but it has Corey Feldman in it. So this is the Cyber Pinhead puppet from that movie, which I got from somebody who, he bought it for a lot more than he sold it to me. I think he needed the money at the time. And then we have all of the other puppets here. The only one I'm missing that I want is Six Shooter. There's a version of this with Six Shooter, which I will put there when I do finally track one down. I mean, these go for about £300 a pop. Blade, Tunneler, Jester, Pinhead, and the Werewolf from the most recent trilogy. And this actually was from the final Axis movie. I can't remember the tagline of it now, but this was actually a screen-used one. So it's got all the blood and everything. And I actually did that via a Kickstarter or Indiegogo campaign. You could sort of contribute to the making of the movie, and you would then get a prop from it. So I did that at the time. And then at the back here, we've got the bullet that Arnie had in his teeth during Terminator 3. I'm sure they had more than one bullet, but it's one of the bullets that were made for that scene anyway. They normally have 5 or 6 different versions of these things. And this was bought from the Prop Store of London, which is a pretty famous sort of memorabilia shop. And I think they have a branch in LA as well. And then that's from Terminator 3 as well, just a signed photo there. And actually, this is an interesting little piece. This is Arnie, Sly, and Bruce Willis. An old school photo from the signed photo from the Planet Hollywood sort of days. And I tell you where I bought this from. This was from, again, they had a movie memorabilia shop in Stardust. And I bought that from there. That's right. God, that's come back to me. Amazing. And then down here, in terms of the movies here, we've got scary movies there. Scary movie 1 to 5. Down here, there's not a huge amount there of Sharknado. Sleepaway Camp, that's a schlocky slasher. So much so that they released some of the sequels on VHS recently. And there's a few Spider-Man and actually Soul Survivors. That's a decent sort of teen slashery type film. And then here we got some Superman, Straw Dogs, which is an old style. Suspiria, which is an excellent movie. Italian giallo. A couple of Arnies there again from Terminator 3. I was a bit obsessed with Terminator 3 at the time, if you hadn't noticed. At the back there, you can't really see because of the lights, but there's all of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. And then we've got Urban Legend. Very big fan of Urban Legend 1 and 2. Part 3 was dreadful, but 1 and 2, superb. 3, they really went down the low budget route. It wasn't good. And then here in the corner, there's the knife from The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with Sean Connery, who again, sadly, we've lost recently. Tom Sizemore's dog tags worn in Pearl Harbor. Pretty cool. We've got a little Chucky here with all the movies there. The mask from Happy Death Day. Freddy. And this is my TV setup. Now, this is a 21:9 screen, so you don't get any black bars on the screen. Philips made these for about 3 years, 10 years ago or so. It's a 3D TV. It's not 4K. I'm not really that interested in 4K, if I'm honest, but I am interested in 3D. I've got lots of 3D movies, and the 3D on this is pretty good. And I like the fact the screen is a shape that doesn't show the black bars. So I've actually bought a replacement TV. I managed to track down another one of these, which I've got in the other room for when this one breaks. So yeah, I have two, but I love this TV and won't be replacing it until it basically breaks completely. I've got a Pioneer amplifier. I've got an Oppo Blu-ray stroke disc player, which plays pretty much everything you could wish to throw at it, including 3D. And I still have a VHS player. I have a few VHSs. So here we've got, actually Herschel Gordon Lewis. That's a massive box set, that one. Limited 500, I think, at the time. I've got a Billy Puppet, but I've got a bigger one of those to show you in a sec. And some of you, if you go back to my Vegas trip with Colin, you may have seen the werewolf there, which was the prototype werewolf for Puppet Master Axis Rising, which I had in... I picked that up from the Luxor. Charles Band shipped it to me there. So I actually had it in one of my Vegas videos in the background, you may remember. And then Friday the 13th mask there. Jason mask. Phantasm poster. A few box sets here. A lot of these are still sealed. I like to buy sealed stuff and keep it because it does go up in value a lot of the time. That's the original Scream DVD set. Friday the 13th set. That's just the box, not the DVDs. Phantasm again there. There's a whole load of Jason figurines there, which go for quite a bit. So I'm trying to keep them from getting damaged. And then this bit really is... probably my favourite section of this room, and unfortunately you can't see this because it does have a huge amount of glare, but this is a screen used Freddy jumper from Freddy vs Jason, which is obviously mounted. You got Freddy's signature there, and again, this was from the prop store of London, so that's all the proper fonts and everything from the movie. Robert Englund's sweater used in Freddy vs Jason, and it even has the scene that you can see the scene that it was actually used in. First slash right front shoulder. And then we have here the original Scream trilogy. As you know, I love Scream, and Wes Craven signed that one. And probably my all-time favourite horror scene, which comes from Halloween H2O. Now, obviously, with the Halloween series, John Carpenter's first Halloween is considered the best for sure, and I can't really argue with that. But the one that I really love, and I love putting on, probably because I love the sweeping score. John Ottman's done this fantastic sweeping sort of orchestral score of John Carpenter's music, and there's the bit where Jamie Lee Curtis comes face to face with Michael Myers for the very first time. There's a thing where he's trying to get the keys to open the door, and Jamie Lee gets Josh Hartnett, her son, in just in the nick of time, shuts the door, looks up, and then Michael Myers is looking in at her, and she realises he is still alive and he is out there. And I just think it's a fabulous, fabulous scene. And this is a signed photo from that scene. And then here we have basically probably the two best box sets that have been released recently. We've got the Halloween box set from Scream Factory, which is probably 5 years ago now that was released. And actually, this is a signed version. I get an awful lot of stuff from Dark Delicacies, which is a shop in Burbank, California. And they always have sort of signings before these big box sets get released. And I paid an obscene amount of money to buy one of these signed. But I'm a lifelong fan, so you're going to do it, right? And at the bottom there, finally, very, very recently, Scream Factory released the Friday the 13th series. It's the definitive version. Jason from Canada bought that for me. I've posted it, so thanks, Jason, if you're watching. And that is a mask from Halloween H2O. I've got the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise on multiple different sets, formats, the lot. That's a German media book collection. And there's a few signed things here. We've got Crystal Lake Memories, which is signed by all the people that made that. Phantasm Ravager, and then the Wishmaster collection. All of those signed covers were from Dark Delicacies again. And actually there in the middle, you've also got that's a Phantasm Sphere with the Toolman signed it and all the others. So here again, we've got Ghostface and Freddy and Jason from Freddy vs. Jason just in front of the jumper or the sweater, depending whether you're English or American. And then down here, a couple of extra things. Actually, the VHS series I really enjoyed. And there's a couple of great documentaries of my era of video nasties. It literally goes through the whole history of the video nasty era in 2 volumes. Really, really good documentaries, those. I'd recommend anyone who's interested in that era of films to watch that. And a couple of movies down here which I really liked. White Noise and White Noise 2. Michael Keaton is in the original White Noise. Very underrated movies. And the second one was decent too. He wasn't in that, but it was a good sequel. That's another couple of great films. You're Next. Don't know if you've ever seen that one. Great slasher with a great twist ending. Zodiac, fabulous serial killer movie. I've got the director's cut and the theatrical on that one. And at the bottom here, that's my slasher classics collection from 88 Films. 88 Films are the best, other than Arrow, they are the best label for releasing this sort of stuff in the UK currently. And then we've got Scream movies there. All my Wes Cravens are at the bottom there. Everything he's done. We got the steelbooks for the Matrix trilogy. Those are the ones, my what to watch pile. I've still not got around to watching 3 from Hell. I mentioned Sid Haig earlier. I've still not watched that. I need to watch that this Christmas. And then further box sets this side, we've got the Joker. I was absolutely blown away by Joker. I thought it was a fabulous, fabulous film. Psycho Collection, Sin City. And then at the bottom here is my sort of old school British horror collection. It's more to do with the horror studios. So we've got the Amicus collection, the Tegan collection, Pete Walker, Norman J. Warren, Amicus. I love Amicus. All Amicus films, and my favourite Amicus film is probably Asylum, which is an epic anthology movie from the 70s. And then here, these are my chairs. So they, you see, you've got nice cup holders for your beer. So that is basically my cinema room. I absolutely love it up here. It's I come up here pretty much every Sunday afternoon while Suzanne's cooking the Sunday roast and watch a movie. The only thing I need to do is fill up the slanted ceilings in here, and I've been trying to get light picture frames that won't fall off, because I'm obsessed with the fact that I'm going to put something up in the middle there, then it's going to fall on the telly, which is why I haven't done it. And then I thought about maybe getting someone to do a mural of horror figures and actually paint it on the ceiling, because there is a guy locally that does that. I still haven't decided what I'm going to do, but I've started putting a few things up here, so I'll probably just carry on with that. And before I finish this section here, just a couple of bits that are in the hallway here. I've got a signed Saw 4 poster, signed by Tobin Bell. In the middle there, at the end there, sorry, is that's the first piece of movie memorabilia I ever bought. That's a signed photo from Scream. Rose McGowan, Courtney Cox, Drew Barrymore, Skeet Ulrich, all of them signed. That's from Freddy vs. Jason, signed by Freddy and Jason. We've got a Billy puppet here, which is actually made from the original mould for the Billy puppet. I got that from Japan somewhere. No, actually, that was from the cinema store, but they had it imported from Japan, I think. My favourite remake... Obviously, there's a lot of bad remakes of 70s and 80s movies, right? And bearing in mind Last House on the Left, the original, is one of my favourites. I think the remake, which was executively produced by Wes Craven, he didn't direct it, but I think this is brilliant. I really think it's the best remake out there. So if you haven't seen that, maybe give it a try. It's pretty faithful to the original. Some slight story change, but... And then I have a Dalek here. I mentioned Genesis of the Daleks being my favourite Doctor Who story. Well, I actually bought this off a guy who knew someone who worked at the BBC. And this Dalek is from Genesis of the Daleks. You can actually get in it and sit in it and flash the lights on the top if you want. And although it's not screen used or anything like that, it was made by the same people that actually make the proper Daleks. And I got a bonus from work. I don't know, it's probably in the mid-90s, and when I was just getting into this stuff, and I spent it on this Dalek. And then finally here, we've got a signed post from Tobin Bell of Saw 6. So that is my movie room. I hope you enjoyed this. It's gone on a bit, but I hope you enjoyed it. Part 2 will follow, which will focus on music. So I'm going to take a break today and come back to this tomorrow. I hope you're all having a great holiday period, and I will speak to you very soon. Take care, guys.